This is NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Glenn Weldon. Today we've got a couple of whodunits that it might be more accurate to call whydunits. In a minute, we'll hear about a book that turns the traditional mystery novel on its head, revealing the murderer up front, to instead spend its time slowly unpacking the motive behind the deadly act. First up, there was a mystery novel that starts off in the usual way with the discovery of a body, but in Janice Hallett's The Killer Question, the apparent motive for the murder is tied to the world of British pub quizzes. Now, anyone who's ever taken part in trivia night at a bar knows that tempers can run hot, even when the prize pot is small. As Hallett told NPR's Scott Simon, it's not the money that matters to pub quizzers, it's about playing by the rules. And when you break those rules, well, the consequences can be anything but trivial. Here's Scott.
This message comes from Schwab. Everyone has moments when they could have done better. Same goes for where you invest. Level up and invest smarter with Schwab. Get market insights, education, and human help when you need it. This message comes from Capital One Commercial Bank. Your business requires commercial banking solutions that prioritize your long-term success. With Capital One, get a full suite of financial products and services tailored to meet your needs today and goals for tomorrow. Learn more at CapitalOne.com/commercial. Member FDIC.
Okay, here's the pitch to Netflix for a true crime doc from a producer, Dominic Eastwood. His aunt and uncle, Sue and Mal, run a country pub called The Case is Altered that offers a Monday night trivia quiz. But a new team calling themselves the Shadow Knights becomes so successful, eyebrows are raised, egos are hurt. Then a body is found in the river. Emails, WhatsApp, and text messages fly. Who would cheat, much less murder, for a prize that's barely $25? The Killer Question is the new mystery novel by Janice Hallett, former journalist and government speechwriter who joins us now from London. Thanks so much for being with us.
Well, thank you for having me, Scott. It's delightful to be here.
You enjoy a pub quiz yourself, I gather.
Yep, I'm a member of a pub quiz team, and we win sometimes, we come bottom sometimes, and mostly we're mid-table.
They can be important to people?
Well, the quiz team can take on a level of importance that far outweighs its actual subjective importance in the world. Passions run high at the pub quiz, and it's not just about winning, it's about fairness and everyone being equal. And when people perceive that not happening, tempers can run high. And I've seen quite a few altercations, shall we say, that almost end up getting physical.
Over pub quizzes, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. Over questions that are perceived as wrong. If the quizmaster says it's one answer, but a team thinks that the quizmaster is wrong, that can lead to a big row. If a team is considered to be cheating, that's another basis on which fights can break out. It's a lively old world.
Well, tell us about this new team that appears, the Shadow Knights, and their mysterious leader, known only as the General.
The General, or General Knowledge. The Shadow Knights are an enigma. They roll into the quiz unannounced one day, and, well, they don't not only walk away with the top prize, they get almost top marks. And the next week, they do the same, except they do get top marks. They don't get a single question wrong. And out of several hundred questions, including the marathon, that's a feat that, twitches the radar of Mal, the question setter, and it disgruntles all the other players. So nobody is happy with the Shadow Knights, and Mal determines to find out whether they really are that good or whether they've simply found a way to cheat without him knowing.
Sue and Mal kind of have a secret of their own, don't they?
They do. They once had a past life. 5 years earlier, they were police officers in another part of the country, and they were part of a very serious police operation that might have gone catastrophically wrong. And if it did, something might have followed them into this life because they don't want anyone to know that they used to be members of the police.
You tell the story through emails and text. If it's all right with you, I'll be Police Community Support Officer Arthur, and you be Mal.
Okay.
Let me begin. Want to know the latest?
You can never know too much, Arthur. Fire away.
Murdered male, pulled deceased from water. By yours most likely died by single blunt force trauma to the head.
Thanks for keeping us in the loop.
Trained as an actor up north.
Heard he was an actor, yeah.
Couldn't find work. Moved down here. Still couldn't find work, but found drugs and alcohol instead. Got in with a rowdy lot.
Shame.
Seen or heard anything from the others he was with?
Thankfully not.
He's spoken to them now. All profess their innocence and seem quite plausible.
Plausible. That's the sign of a good criminal, Arthur. They look you in the eye and lie without a flicker. Such commitment to the facade of innocence. They believe it themselves.
Oh, my word. I must say, as an old crime reporter, I thought, there's something to that.
I think it's true. I mean, the best liars are the people who convince themselves they're telling the truth.
Yeah. Why did you choose to tell the story in this form? What are the challenges of writing in emails and text messages and WhatsApp messages?
I've written all my novels like this one way or another, and it comes from my past life, actually, as a screenwriter. And if you're a screenwriter, you deliver everything via dialogue. That's character, place, atmosphere, pace. And I've simply adapted that for the page in my novels, and now it comes completely naturally. As for the challenges, occasionally I do need to communicate to the reader where people are and what people look like. That tends not to be something that we would naturally text about, so I have to find clever ways to get round it. But otherwise, I have a ball writing in that way.
Don't a lot of people use text messages not to reveal but to conceal and misdirect?
I think when we're reading the text messages here, we're reading between the lines all the time. And that's true of life, I think. We're all portraying ourselves in a particular way, whether it's social media, whether it's the short-form communications we're using. We want to come across in a particular way to different people. And that's what I want the reader to unpick in this novel. What do people really mean? In the bit we read, now Mal doesn't always respond very loquaciously to Arthur when he's chatting about the chap who was pulled out of the river. And maybe there's a reason for that, or maybe there isn't.
Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. As a working, highly successful novelist, do you have any concerns about readers of the future just subsisting on text messages and social media posts? And, what we now call literature disappearing?
Well, that's very interesting. Will literature ever disappear? And what is literature in these days? And where is it going? Now, I don't think books are going anywhere, anytime soon. But looking further to the future, who on earth knows? Because we're already getting very, very short formats of communication in our everyday lives. I'm reliably told by young people that nobody emails much anymore. I wrote my first novel, The Appeal, in almost all emails, and that was a piece of feedback I got from my younger readers. Everybody texts now. Emails are for old people. And whereas maybe 40 years ago we'd have been bemoaning the decline of letter writing, we're now bemoaning the decline of emails. But for the moment, I don't think books or literature are going anywhere. But I think literature might change and more books might be written in the way that I'm writing them now.
The Killer Question, the new novel by Janice Hallett. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you, Scott. It's been delightful speaking to you.
This message comes from Jackson. Seek clarity in retirement planning at Jackson.com. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Inc., Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York. This message comes from Wise, the app for using money around the globe. When you manage your money with Wise, you'll always get the mid-market exchange rate with no hidden fees. Join millions of customers and visit wise.com. T's and C's apply.
In author Peter Swanson's Kill Your Darlings, we meet a middle-aged couple, both writers. The woman is contemplating killing her husband from the very opening pages. Then the book moves backwards in time, gradually revealing how they came to that state of affairs. We learn that they share a very dark secret, one that's caused them to splinter apart and keep other different secrets from each other as well. It's not the recipe for a great marriage, but it is the makings for a juicy page-turner. Swanson talked to NPR's Mary Louise Kelly about the book and the infamous set of stairs that features prominently in it.
The basics of a whodunit are just that. You are trying to unravel the who, what, when, and where of a dastardly crime. Well, Peter Swanson's new thriller, Kill Your Darlings, turns all that on its head. You know who the killer is from the first pages. You spend the rest of the book trying to figure out why.
It was not an easy book to write. I think about halfway through, I almost quit because I was getting jumbled up thinking about it. But I did keep going and kind of pull it together.
Swanson told me how he pulled it together, starting with the who. The main characters, Tom and Wendy Graves, married, in their 50s, both writers living on the North Shore of Massachusetts.
On the outside, they'd be an upper middle class, look quite happy. But inside the house, their marriage is definitely falling apart. Tom is drunk most of the time and seemingly guilty. Wendy is concerned about Tom and what he might give away about their lives. And in fact, she's so concerned that, as we learn very early in the beginning of the novel, she's thinking it might be a good idea to kill him.
Yeah. Read us the bit where Wendy makes up her mind. It's not just a good idea to kill him, but she might actually do it. And just to set the scene a little bit, they have just thrown a dinner party for colleagues, and Tom has once again had way too much to drink.
She could see it in his blank eyes and the way his mouth was slightly ajar, lower lip hanging. She took a tiny sip of her wine. He had put his empty glass down and was mimicking playing the piano along with Ahmad Jamal. God, she despised him. She'd also known that he was never going to change, but she hadn't admitted to herself yet that she truly hated him. I should just kill him, she thought. What are you smiling about? Tom said. Just murder, she said back. Your murder. He laughed and moved his hands along the imaginary keys.
I hate to laugh, but it's so, there's no doubt she's about to do it, and she does. And I will say the where of this murder mystery is the famous exorcist steps, famous from the movie The Exorcist, in Georgetown in Washington, D.C. Describe them and describe what happens there.
Well, my first trip to Washington, D.C., unlike most people who want to see all the monuments, the first thing I wanted to see was the exorcist steps. And, those are the steps that Father Karras tumbles down to his death. So that was my first tourist stop in D.C., and I'd always remembered them. They are genuinely very long and quite steep and quite deadly. I think nowadays they're being used as an exercise facility. People run up and down them.
I run up and down them. I will inject. I live around the corner.
Oh, you do?
And those steps have nearly killed me more than once. Not because anybody pushed me, but because they are extraordinarily long and steep. Yes.
And again, we're at the very beginning of the book, and we know that Wendy's thinking of how to kill her husband, and she's already kind of tried to kill him by pushing him down the stairs in their house, which isn't long enough. So she thinks, I'm going to need a longer set of steps.
You can see all the pieces coming together. Then, though, the reason that we don't give up reading after the first chapter is you do something fascinating, which is tell the whole story, their whole marriage, in reverse. So the book is moving backward in time, from when Wendy pushes Tom down the steps, that's 2023, all the way back to 1982. Right. Why? Why tell it that way?
Well, the genesis of this book was really two ideas coming together. And one was the desire to write a book in reverse. I had thought about this as someone who loves crime novels, is that they often do go a little bit in reverse, in the sense that we start with a corpse, and by the end of the book, we know what happened before that corpse arrived. And I thought, what if we could just really literalize that and have a story go entirely in reverse, so that we slowly learn the events that led to the version of Tom and Wendy, that unhappy version of them in their 50s. And then the other thing that really got me into the story was this idea of a young couple that plot to kill. In those stories that we're familiar with, it doesn't go well. But what if it did? What if this young couple got away with it and then lived happily ever after? What would they be like 30 years down the line? And those two ideas came together and created this book.
Peter Swenson, you are a writer. Obviously, we're talking to you about your book. You're writing here about characters who are both writers. Tom is an academic and has tenure at a university and keeps trying to write the great American novel. Wendy is a published poet. Did you relate to either of them as a fellow writer?
Yeah, I think, especially Wendy, because I began my writing career as an aspiring poet. That was all through my 20s. I was really solely writing poetry, unlike Tom, where he has this vision of being a great novelist. I think Wendy's kind of she's blasé about the whole thing. I mean, it doesn't mean as much to her ego as it does to Tom, who I think feels like he can salvage some of his life by becoming this great writer, and it's tied up in his ego.
I was laughing because you show us many of Tom's awful first drafts, which he abandons after like 3 paragraphs, and then he goes back and reads them and feels even worse.
Yeah,
I thought only another writer could have come up with that because it's so true.
Yeah, I think he has one point where he's written a few paragraphs and then he's just written awful underneath it. There's shame attached to him in writing, and I think I felt a little bit of that. I used to not tell people I was a writer because it felt, I don't know, like you're trying to, like you have something to say to the world is a little embarrassing.
It felt pretentious or something?
I don't know. I think a lot of writers don't feel this way and are happy to shout it to the world, but there's 2 types of writers. So he lives with a lot of shame, some for good reason.
So it struck me, Peter Swenson, the thing that has bound these 2 characters, Wendy and Tom, for decades is a shared secret that they need to keep. And the thing that ultimately breaks them, both as individuals and as a couple, is that they each have a huge secret, or 2, that they do not share, that they're carrying all by themselves.
Right.
What's the lesson there?
One lesson is, don't live your life like Tom and Wendy. But when we meet them as young lovers, they're very much like a lot of us, like we'll never lie to one another. We're in this together. This is our lives, our shared lives. But as things progress, and it happens pretty fast that they start to hide things from one another. It does make you wonder if along the way they had remained completely open, if maybe they'd have existed longer. Everyone deals with guilt to a certain degree, and we all deal with it in slightly different ways. And I think that's one of the major themes of this book.
Peter Swenson telling us about his new book, Kill Your Darlings. Peter Swenson, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary Louise.
That's it for this week on NPR's Book of the Day. If you want more, you can sign up for our newsletter at npr.org/newsletter/books. I'm Glenn Weldon. The podcast is produced by Chloe Weiner and edited by Megan Sullivan. Our founding editor is Petra Mayer. The show elements for this week were produced and edited by Julia Corcoran, Amiko Tamagawa, Jacob Fenston, Elena Twarek, Justine Kennan, Lena Mohammed, Adriana Gallardo, Milton Guevara, Taylor Haney, Fernando Naro-Raman, Martin Patience, Ashley Brown, and Mallory Yu. Yolanda Sanguini is our executive producer. Thanks for listening.
This comes from NPR sponsor Sierra. How businesses connect with customers defines their brand. Sierra is the platform for building better, more human customer experiences with AI. No stock answers, no hold music, just real solutions fast. Visit Sierra.ai to learn more.
This message comes from NPR sponsor Rosetta Stone, an expert in language learning for 30 years. Right now, NPR listeners can get Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership to 25 different languages for 50% off. Learn more at rosettastone.com/NPR.
This message comes from Warby Parker, prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Glasses designed in-house from premium materials starting at just $95, including prescription lenses. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.